Tell me more about the promises he's kept. What are like your top three favorite ones?
Number one is close the borders. We have fentanyls that the cartels has brought in. China for Joe Biden allowed those fentanyls that can kill each and every one of us.
I mean, that'd be crazy if we all died.
Yeah.
Like, well, who would buy more fentanyl if we were all dead, right?
Who would buy all that? Well, yeah, right.
Okay, so that's one, closing the borders. Two more.
Now we are respected in every country again.
Which countries do you think have like really increased in their respect for America?
Israel, I'm a biggest supporter of Israel. And then, of course, Saudi Arabia.
North Korea is increasing their respect as well.
Yes, yes.
Closing the border, restoring respect. Do you have a third one?
Like peace, I think, peace, especially in the Middle East.
Peace in the Middle East.
You ain't mad? They have lost everything. How are they supposed to apply for something if they don't have electricity that does not get their baby fed in this moment? Like, I'm so fucking mad.
Hi, Mama Tot. So this was you back when Joe Biden was president and a devastating flood hit North Carolina. And back then, you were just so fighting mad that the government wasn't doing anything to help our people. Well, fast forward to Trump being in office and a devastating flood hits Texas. Let's see how you feel now. I'm sure you're pissed.
First responders, Cajun Navy, you name it, volunteers are all down there in efforts to help the community where the flood has taken the lives of 50 people, and they are doing everything that they can.
What? Ophelia, why ain't you mad? Right now, we are giving tax cuts to billionaires, and people in Texas who have lost everything only get $770? And you're not mad. Ophelia, why don't you come over here and join us? Come take a seat, okay? Why don't you explain to us why you guys only seem to get mad at hurricanes when a Democrat's in office? Can you explain that to us, please? Ophelia, can I tell you why you should be mad? Because Trump and Elon Musk cut 1/3 of the workforce at FEMA. In fact, Trump wants to phase out FEMA entirely and just let the states handle their own shit whenever they get hit with a natural disaster. And this doesn't make you mad? Because I would love to see some consistency in this character that you're pretending to be on the internet. So why don't you let us know when you run out to your car with a passionate rant about the Trump administration? Because as they continue to strip away help from those who need it the most, it seems like this Mama Tot character has nothing to say about it. So let us know when you do. Alrighty? Okay, thanks, Mama. Okay, good luck.
Do you actually believe this election would be so much better if women couldn't vote?
I think every election.
Or is that a joke?
No, women should not be voting.
Even women in the 1920s largely didn't want.
When you look at the women's
vote.
suffrage movement and what they did, there were literally women who did not want women to get into politics.
I'm sure. There are a lot of really
But do you
incorrect
explore
women
and
in
do
the
you
world.
read about them? Do you read about why? Would you guess as
They
to why?
probably had similar views to y'all.
No, it's because they love their families. They love having
Oh,
children.
please.
They want to
there
focus.
it is again. Then be with your family. That's your choice. But why do you insist on making other people's choices for
Dude,
them?
do you know that there is a mass
Freedom, baby.
Do you know that women voting is not freedom, bro?
But by saying women shouldn't vote, and I know this is what you believe, and I don't know if I would ever change your view on this, but it's like the biggest, most simple way to put men and women on such a different
Exactly.
Value. You're valuing them
Exactly.
wildly different,
And it's still equality.
Where in
Yes,
in
it is.
reality, of course, women who are part of society, who are equal citizens, who are equal people, should be having a say in their democracy.
Democracy is cringe.
If we lose the majority, if the Republicans, we lose the majority in the House, and this radical element of the Democrat Party we're able to take over, we've already seen that movie. They will try to end the Trump administration. He won't have 4 years, he'll have only 2, because they will move to impeach him probably on the first day of the new Congress in January 2027, and they will try to systematically unwind all the important reforms that we've done for the American people. So
don't threaten us with a good time. That's what we want. You're telling us that we can end Trump's administration after 2 years if we get out and vote during the midterms? He just made all the Democrats ads for them. Democrats, you don't even need to make any ads. Just play this shit. If you need any motivation to get up in the polls next fucking year for your midterms, Mike Johnson just told you best. You can end Trump's Trump's administration, you don't gotta wait 4 years for this shit to be over with. End it after 2. After 2 years, let's get them the fuck up out of here. The writing is on the wall. Donald Trump and the Republicans today are flailing. They don't know what to do. They thought that they were going to have a leg to stand back on by winning some elections yesterday so that they could feel like the American people were on their side. But the American people spoke. We are not putting up with this shit. Keep this momentum up going into midterms next year. Because like Mike Johnson just said, you can end this shit after 2 years. Mike Johnson's a fucking idiot. Donald Trump is a fucking idiot. Today has been a glorious day watching the Republicans fucking crying and flailing after losing so terribly last night.
How is it that you think an election in New York, and whether they elect Mondami or Cuomo as the governor, is somehow a referendum on Donald Trump and his administration, or something that's happening in California or New Jersey? These are Democrat-run areas that Kamala Harris easily won.
This is why. Is because Trump endorsed Cuomo and Cuomo fucking lost. That's a referendum on this guy. Oh, what does it have to do with California? I'm glad you asked. They passed Prop 50. Good job, California, which was a direct response to Texas redistricting on an off census year because Donald Trump directly fucking asked them to shore up House votes. It's a referendum on Donald Trump, this is. Well, what does that have to do with New Jersey? He endorsed Chitterelli. And he lost for the third time, by the way, to Mikey Sherrill. Good job, Mikey. Off-year, midterm, local elections are often a reflection on how the general public feels about the current administration, whether that's relevant or not. And in this instance, I think we can all say, nobody's fucking psyched about your guy. Sorry, it's a referendum on Donald Trump.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Anthony, and it's always amazing having you here. So, after the Republicans lost the elections, they came to the realization that the MAGA whatever policies, they are not popular with the general Americans, and they are mad at Donald Trump. This is not what I voted for. So let's continue watching and watch as a bias remorse unfold in real time.
Well, guys, the Republicans are freaking out right now because they know that after they got obliterated at the polls this week, they now have to change all of their messaging back to the economy and affordability. They were hoping that they could just give tax cuts to their rich friends and then keep everybody distracted by sending the military into blue cities and going to war with Antifa frogmen. But it looks like nobody gave a shit about that. Looks like the real reason that Trump supporters voted for him is because they wanted a bunch of free shit. They wanted free IVF, no more taxes, lower prices at the store, not higher, and they wanted him to literally hand out $5,000 checks to everybody like Oprah. They were looking for the free shit. And when Republicans got in office, obviously they had no intentions of actually helping the American people. But now Republicans are being forced to talk about the economy that they ran straight into the ground, and they can't talk about the numbers because those look terrible. So their number one tactic is to trot out Lego Man Mike Johnson and Daddy Trump to tell everybody that prices are way down. Guys, our pro-growth policies will kick in soon. That's what they have to say. And that's because they're absolutely cooked. The Republicans have done nothing to help the American people, and even their own fans are starting to notice. Anyway, guys, gotta love it. Gotta love watching them squirm. If they thought that this week was bad for them at the polls, woo! Next year is going to be glorious. All right, guys, happy Thursday. Hopefully you're having a great week. I know I am having a damn good week. So let's keep that energy flowing. All right, y'all? Okay, love you. See you soon.
Ever since Tuesday's election, Republicans are trying to distance themselves from Donald Trump. And this could not be any better. They don't want to be associated anymore with him. They are recognizing that the MAGA Trump train is not one they want to be on anymore. Now, of course, nobody is going to forget who they aligned with to begin with. We are going to be holding them accountable, and we are not interested in voting in these people once Trump is gone. But as we know, he is a lame duck president. He only has 3 more years at most. And these people are hoping that maybe we forget that they weren't once aligned with him, but we won't. But I think it's really interesting that all of these people that went so hard for Donald Trump and MAGA now are recognizing that he is, in fact, the loser that he calls everybody else. I mean, it really is kind of poetic justice how much this administration is just losing. The problem is he's trying to bring us all down with him. The economy is at an all-time low. Prices are higher than ever. People can't afford their groceries. Their SNAP benefits have been cut off. Like, it is not going well. And many of us saw this coming.
If you've been wondering what the MAGA response is to yesterday's election results, I have it for you. All day I've been kind of just like casually browsing through my alt accounts where I infiltrate their world and see what they're talking about. There's a lot of responses. There's a lot of like, this doesn't mean anything. But one of the most prevalent narratives is women should not be allowed to vote. This is not like a sweeping narrative, but it is something where I am seeing a lot of content and a lot of posts about this. And the ideology is basically women who are in marriages and have families should only be allowed one vote per household. I literally remember like a decade ago going to a wedding of a friend of mine, and she was marrying a pastor's son. And during the actual wedding ceremony, her vows that she had to say were, "I promise to love, honor, and submit to you." May or may not have said, hell no, like under my breath when that happened. This also just shows the complete Stockholm syndrome of how MAGA lives in their state of mind, because they refuse to actually believe that maybe it's just people are actually waking up and seeing how god-awful this administration is and the policies and the complete pissing on the Constitution and due process right now. No, they're basically saying, you know what? Instead of us having elected leaders who are sane, we should just remove women's rights to vote. So yeah, moderate Christian women who are maybe independent, just know that there are women who are actively saying on social media that you don't deserve the right to vote. Quick sidebar, did anybody see yesterday that the Secretary of State of Kentucky had to actually tweet, "Please do not ask why we are not voting in the NYC and Virginia election." He had to tell his own state, you don't vote in the New York City and Virginia elections. That's the current state of America.
I wear the stain of being former MAGA with a lot of shame and guilt, as I should. I was MAGA from 2016 to 2020. I've been a leftist since then. And like I said, I didn't just walk away from MAGA and think I'm just this great person, and that I'm better off. I'm actually not better off. I now have the burden of knowledge. I have the burden of empathy, but I wouldn't change a thing. You see, when I was MAGA, I didn't care about anybody besides myself. When I was MAGA, I didn't care about truth. And now, as a leftist, I care about the truth, and I care about empathy, and I care about others. And that leads to a lot of weight. My brain is constantly questioning things. My heart is constantly aching. And that didn't happen when I was MAGA. I was blissfully ignorant. And when I tell my story about being former MAGA, people always have questions, and a lot of times I can't answer their questions because when I try to answer, none of it makes sense. Like when you look back, it doesn't make sense. There is no excuse. There is no reasoning that is valid. I can explain it till I'm out of breath, and to myself and to others, it just doesn't make sense. Like if you have half a brain cell, if you have any tiny bit of empathy, it does not make sense. And that is the problem with MAGA as a cult, is that they buy into things that are logical fallacies. They buy into things that harm people, whether they see it, whether they believe it, whether they care. And that's the difference between former MAGA me and who I am now. I give a fuck.
Vivek Ramaswamy the other day, he made that video saying that Republicans are behind when it comes to messaging, when it comes to solving the real issues that are affecting Americans. The issue of cost of living, the issue of affordability in general, the issue of cost of living of Americans. That's the point where Republicans have failed. And this is something we have been saying since maybe Trump came into office. The cost of living in the United States has skyrocketed under his leadership. And that's the real solution or the real issue that we should focus on. Trump is bad for the economy.
MAGA, I have a message for you. I used to be MAGA, and you're not going to like what I have to say, but fuck it. You need to hear it. You claim that everyone on the left is unhinged. You say radical. You say violent. You say a lot of these really, really negative terms. Yet today, the left just showed you in millions of numbers, mass protesting, the largest in American history nationwide. I know, I was there at the one in DC, and it was peaceful. They just proved you completely wrong. MAGA, listen, you say that you are the party of law and order, and that the left is unhinged and violent and don't like America, yet we just made history today, and the left showed you that you were wrong, and then it backtracks to how can you claim to be law and order when on January 6th, multiple people lost their lives, okay? Like, police officers were assaulted. Like, you actually used violence throughout the day because you didn't get what you want. And yet here, you're calling the left radical when they didn't get what they want, and they are standing up in a peaceful and patriotic manner, and they are showing you up again and again and again. Everything, MAGA, that you are claiming to stand for is not true. That is not actually what you are doing. And all of the stuff you are accusing the left on might just be a little bit of a reflection of who you might actually be.
Would I still vote for Trump if I knew then what I know now?
I'm going to guess that the answer is yes, but it's not for the reasons that you and I would hope it's for. But let's watch and see what she says.
I would not vote for Trump again if I had the choice to go back 1 year ago today. And not because I'm disappointed with a lot of the policy or the way things are going, but the cost of that vote and the loss of two people that I love dearly.
So just to be clear, she's not upset because of the policies and the things that are happening. She's not upset that food is actually more expensive, that people are not getting their SNAP benefits, that government is shut down, that people are literally starting to starve and being grabbed off the streets. She's not upset about any of those things, right? Because those things don't affect her directly. But let's find out what she really is upset about.
And now the strain is just unbearable. And I had hoped after a year that things would kind of smooth over and calm down, but it's just not getting better. And the pain of it is a lot. So I know some people will say, well, that's what you get for voting for Trump and blah, 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 blah. But I'm heartbroken over the relationship loss. And so if I...
And there it is. She only cares because she was affected in a negative way. Because her friends, two people that were really close to her, said, I can't be friends with you anymore. And that makes total sense because no, we do not want to be friends with you. We cannot agree to disagree on human rights. We cannot be friends if you literally vote against my personal freedom or you vote for someone who's going to physically, mentally, or emotionally harm me or someone I love. We cannot be friends if you support an administration that calls a huge part of our population an infestation or an enemy within. Because when you do that, you create legislation that harms those people that you say you love. But yet, I looked at your whole video, I watched your whole video. You do not care that it's affecting them. You only care that it affects you. And that's the problem with Trump supporters. All my love.
The American flag stands for compassion, kindness, liberty, justice for all. We're all human, and today I'm asking for one human act of compassion to please let my dad come home.
Quick question. Did you think that the American flag stood for compassion and kindness when you voted for who you voted for? Because let me show you something.
and the science and experience we've developed here will live on through you. On behalf of the board, the leadership team, and myself personally, thank you for your passion, your ideas, and your perseverance. Perhaps more importantly, while we assembled phenomenal individuals together as a team, we fostered an even more phenomenal culture together. While war in its current state will not continue, our culture will ensure so many of these relationships will continue going forward, both professionally and personally. Your work mattered. It still matters.
That was my CEO, shutting down our entire company, where that man has dedicated his life to science and treating cancer patients such as your father. And we had to stop. All of us got laid off because of your vote. So let me ask you another question. Would you still regret your vote if this didn't happen to you personally? Because I went back a couple of videos on your page to find out where was the outrage when this happened to a child, an American child that was deported mid-cancer treatment. And what I saw on your page was you being hot. I didn't see you being outraged. I didn't see you being upset. I didn't see you speaking up. So your cry is not really regret or remorse. Your cry is entitlement. You're crying because you were told no. You're crying because they denied you. Because if they had accepted your father to stay here, you wouldn't regret your vote. You would think that your president was still your hero. Because the outrage, the remorse, and the regret should have started months ago when this was happening to other people. When this was happening to thousands of other people that also have families, that also have children, that also have wives. You didn't care back then. Now you care?
Before I was an astrologer, I was a therapist. I got my MSW degree from NYU, so I have the ability, or did have the ability, to diagnose people with like borderline personality disorder, depression, etc., anything in the DSM. And I have to tell you, the people I worked with in Bellevue Hospital on the prison unit ward had more self-awareness than people in MAGA. MAGA, being a Trump supporter, deserves a section in the DSM because it is a pathological disorder, and I'm not being funny. Do you know how delusional or cognitively impaired you have to be to talk about law and order while voting for a man convicted of 34 felonies and letting off felons on day one who beat up cops? And that's among a host of other things. I'm dead serious. You cannot be MAGA and be normal. I don't want to use normal and that's not good for mental disorders, but you're abnormal. You are, okay? Everyone in MAGA needs therapy. I'm being dead serious. They have to get deprogrammed. They are delusional by clinical definition. Delusional. I would diagnose them with paranoid schizophrenia. Almost. Maybe they're not hearing voices in their head. Anyway.
So man, thank you everyone for reaching the end of this video, and it's always amazing having you here, my viewers, my subscribers. Ensure that you comment so that we can engage in dialogue about the issues which are affecting us here at home. So my question is, why is the MAGA cult disintegrating? Why are the Republicans losing the elections every now and then? One of the issues that Trump is not solving, and one of the things that made Trump win, is because independents voted for him. And some Democrats were very naive, or maybe they didn't want to vote in Kamala Harris, or maybe they were too lazy to get out and vote. And now the whole country has come to the realization of how Trump is really bad about our economy. Trump has really messed up with everything. Republicans, senators and members of a house or whatever representatives, they are not showing up in town halls because Americans are suffering, and these guys don't have solution for the issues affecting Americans. And to my fellow Democrats, let's not focus about Epstein files. Let's not focus about ICE and maybe deportation. That's not a real issue. What will make us win the midterms is addressing the cost of living in the United States, because that's what has made Trump and the Republican Party lose the recent elections. The independents who voted Trump, they don't want to be associated with him again. The Democrats who didn't come out to vote, they all have come to the realization that if the majority are silent, our country will be destroyed. And it's happening. And many people are coming out to make their voice heard. You can see even in the No Kings protest, 7 million Americans peacefully marching across the streets and thousands abroad in support of Trump against becoming a dictator. It's the real issues which are affecting Americans, which we should be talking about, which we should be addressing at the ballot box. Cost of living, bankruptcy in our farmers, you know what I mean? Our factories closing, our companies maybe closing in ways and they're going to set up abroad. Those are the real issues we should be addressing as Democrats. So what I usually say is bias remorse. This is not what I voted for. It's too late. But no, not too late. The midterms are here. Let's vote wisely. Let's vote for leaders who really care about us. Until the next video, talk blue, listen blue, vote blue. Don't fall for the government psyop. And thank you for your attention to this matter.